I'm just going to give an overview of what today's session is about, what the structure is. I'm going to start with some introductions to our team, just so that you're aware of who we are and who you may be talking to in the course of the work that we're doing on this programme. I'm then just going to give a brief overview of the purpose of today's session, which I want to connect to the context for the programme overall. And then I'll talk a little bit more detail about the second commission, which is obviously the focus of this webinar, and in particular what the opportunities and objectives are for the second commission. And then I'll cover the submission process and what will happen to get us to a final decision around the selection. And then we'll move on to answer questions that you raise. So, as I mentioned, my name is Rob. I'm the Senior Creative Producer working at Plymouth Culture. Plymouth Culture is the lead organisation for the delivery of See For Yourself. And my role really is to oversee the development of the commissioning framework and oversight across the programme delivery in terms of all of the commissions. I'm working alongside several colleagues, Hannah Harris, who is the Director of Plymouth Culture, CEO of Plymouth Culture. So as Plymouth Culture is the lead organisation, she has overall responsibility for the delivery of the programme. Ellen Booth, who is a producer, who will be working closely with artists to help support the delivery of the programme of work. And Hope Norman, who is our project officer, who has a key role in terms of administration, project support, and is key point of contact for the programme overall. So See For Yourself is a programme that has been set up through a partnership with Plymouth Sound National Marine Park, which has been recently declared in the city in Plymouth. The Plymouth Sound National Marine Park project is being led as a funded project by Plymouth City Council. See For Yourself really has grown out of the digital engagement strand of work for the Plymouth Sound National Marine Park. And the aspiration of this programme really is to connect people to the ocean fundamentally, but also in doing that to rekindle and reconnect people with a sense of their own cultural identity within the city, and ultimately our ambition centre around the opportunities presented through this project as a placemaking initiative. The main vehicle through which this work is being delivered is a series of cultural commissions that will be developed over the next 4 years. And the ambition really is to support artists in that creative opportunity to develop a series of projects that are complementary in nature. We accept and understand that no one of these projects will be able to achieve the aspirations of the programme as a whole, but each has a distinctive focus and place within the programme. And I'll say a little bit more about that in a moment. With the overall ambition really for See For Yourself of creating a transformation in terms of the relationship between audiences, communities in Plymouth, Plymouth residents, a transformation of their relationship to the ocean, thinking about future relationships of care towards the planet and stewardship. So the programme is funded through 2 core funders. The first of those is the National Lottery Heritage Fund, who have funded the Plymouth Sound National Marine Park project directly as a Horizons project. And the second is Arts Council England through the Place Partnership Scheme. We also have partners in the city who are actively contributing to the project. Those are Plymouth City Council and Plymouth Sound National Marine Park, of course, but also cultural and educational organisations, Real Ideas, Arts University Plymouth, the University of Plymouth, the Box, and Theatre Royal Plymouth. I mentioned the structure of the programme as a central element is the 4 commissions that I've already touched upon. This is the second commissioning opportunity within that structure. The other elements within the programme that also exist focus on sector development support for the creation of skills that will help create a vibrant artistic community for the future, and also work around data insights so we're better understanding and sharing the relationship between cultural activities in the city and our audiences. But just focusing on the commission structure themselves, they're broken down into four, if you like, lumps of activity. The first commission has already been, the brief has already been developed and the selection process has been undertaken, and we're working with an artist, David Cottrell, now in an R&D phase towards developing the ideas for that project. As you can see, we're in the process of an open call for the second. This is a programme that will be continuously reviewed. So thinking about future commissioning activity, we'll be taking into account the learning that comes from the first two commissioning processes into the later elements of the programme. And it's also worth saying that we have additional engagement activity that will run alongside, through, and emerge from these commissions, so interconnected in a variety of ways. Just to touch on the focus of this specific commission then, there are three really core elements that make this the distinctive opportunity we think it is. The first of these is that this commission is structured around an opportunity to co-create a project working with communities in Plymouth. The second element of it is that we're drawing on a partnership with the Box, so hoping to activate relationships to the collections in ways that are relevant to that co-creation process, particularly thinking about the rich set of resources that the Box has in terms of heritage material that relates to the sea and the city's relationship to the sea, and archival material, which obviously ranges across physical archives, but also digital and moving image archives as well. See for Yourself is fundamentally a digital programme, so it's also worth saying that we're looking for digital outputs from this commissioning process. We're not specifying exactly what form those will take, because as with other commissioning opportunities within this programme, we're very keen that this commission is an open-ended opportunity, so that artists coming into this space can bring their creativity, but also respond specifically to the context of the city, responding to the opportunities and the needs of partners and audiences and participants that we may choose to work with, and to develop something that feels very much by, with, and of the city, rather than off the shelf. Not all of the opportunities within See for Yourself are limited in terms of eligibility to just UK artists. We had an international process for the first commission, but because of the nature of the focus of this work, and it's engaged the requirement for in-depth engagement, we have chosen to focus on artists based in the UK for this particular opportunity. I've just put some other details down of eligibility, including a requirement of 2 years professional practice, which should obviously be demonstrated within any submission that is made. We are open to artists working either individually or collectively. What I would say is we see an opportunity here for real creative leadership within this project. And ultimately, hopefully our brief reflects the aspirations we have in terms of the impact of the work and the outcomes. So if you feel that you can achieve that working in an innovative way, whatever the structure, we're keen to hear from you. In terms of the budget, there's a fee of £15,000 being offered as a creative fee, and a project budget beyond that of £75,000. I'll talk a little bit more about the time frame for this project in due course. But because of the nature of the program, even though we have a kind of 4-year delivery window across all of the commissions, we're talking about a sort of an 18-month development and delivery timeline for this project. So we're keen to ensure that we start with an understanding that the project would need to be delivered within those existing resources, notwithstanding that there is an opportunity, of course, to explore kind of increasing ambition through partnership, leveraging in-kind support, and also thinking about how we can bring resources into the project to really expand our ambition around it. Just a summary of the objectives of the Commission here. I don't want to go into too much detail, but to draw out some specific things that I've already spoken about. Naturally, because this is an absolutely key part of the Plymouth Sound National Marine Park project, we're focused on engagement of audiences that is aligned to Plymouth Sound National Marine Park's target audiences. I can say a little bit more about those, if there are specific questions around that, but those target audiences are essentially referred to in the brief. They're very broad categories, but we're looking for approaches that will engage with groups that fall within those broad categories. The other opportunities within this are, of course, to develop work that creates opportunities for participation and a co-creation process, and as I've mentioned, working with archive and heritage using the resources offered by the box. Ultimately, one of the most important things about this project is to try to seed the potential transformation of a relationship to the ocean and encourage behaviour change that is going to be positive for our relationship to the planet. But we're also interested in creating a legacy within the confines of this project, if you like, within the communities that we're working in, to ensure that what we create are opportunities that can be carried forward, whether that's in terms of learning new digital skills or building confidence around engagement with art and culture or the environment space as well. I'm just going to say just a little bit more about those two elements of community participation and the relationship with the box. So within the brief, we've tried to be clear that the opportunities for the participation and co-creation element of this project needs to build on relationships that have already been being developed by the Plymouth Sound National Marine Park Coastal Rangers team. That team has been working actively within the city for at least 2 years now, and this commission will be expected to emerge from relationships that are now being developed by that team in specific geographical areas within the city. Those are referred to in the brief. I haven't actually written them down to read out, so I would direct people back to that. They include areas such as Cap Down and Barnbarton. There's quite a lot of information in the links provided in the brief that gives more insight into those neighbourhoods. But given that the target audience for PSNMP and See for Yourself includes families with school-aged children from lower-income neighbourhoods, over 50s from low-income neighbourhoods, students in further and higher education, people living with long-term health conditions or disabilities, and people from the global majority, as you would expect, this engagement work is focused on areas of the city that are absolutely aligned to those demographics, those broad demographics and target audiences, so we'll create that opportunity. We're not expecting an artist to come to us with an existing relationship with a specific community group and sort of offer that to the project at the outset. We understand that people's insight into the city or a relevant other context will vary, and we will obviously be supporting the development of that relationship over the process of the project's research and development and establishing those relationships. Fundamentally, we're interested in understanding how you would approach this, what your specific ideas and areas of interest are, how they align with engagement with a group that might fall within that one of those broad categories of audience, or an intersection perhaps between those categories. Just to say a little bit more about the partnership from the box, with the box, sorry. The offer here, the opportunity here, is for exploration of the resources and collections that might usefully and valuably and relevantly inform the process of co-creation. So that might be a mechanic through which the engagement develops, or it might just be ideas that are brought into other conversations or activities. But we're interested in a sort of two-way relationship, such that that process of co-creation and participation informs and animates the collections in some way, though we're very open to how that might happen. I should just mention that the team at the box have produced a document with quite a lot of information about the various different potentially relevant areas of the collection. This is obviously a guide that might stimulate some ideas around the potential relationships between those collections and an engaged process with working with communities. Excuse me. Very briefly, just to touch on deliverables. So as we've said, we're the structure of this project, what's distinctive about it is that it must involve a co-creation element within those geographical areas. Outputs that are developed through working with the box, digital input or output, by which we mean we could take into a project digital material as a kind of stimulus for the development of the work, leading to other non-digital outputs alongside that. But we are interested in the opportunity to share this work in community settings and other spaces as well. So we would be very interested in understanding what those kind of outputs might be and how they're distributed. A collaborative process of development and production, working with the team. So this is essentially a collaborative commission, and me and the team will be there to support you. Sorry, I did the myself thing there. Finally, just to move on to the selection process. So we have online now, live online application form on our website, and the deadline for submissions to that is the 1st of September. There are, I think, 3 questions and 1 prompt, which we're asking for responses to. All of the information about those questions is in the artist brief. There are different forms of information that are accessible, including an easy read version of the artist brief and an offline submission form. And you can also make your submission using an audio or video format as well if you choose. If there's any, if you experience any barrier to submitting and want support of any sort, please just do reach out to us and we'll do our best to help. After the closing date for submissions, we'll be working with a panel that's been drawn from our commissioning advisory group. Details of that group are actually on our website as well as involving community partners. I just want to highlight that we will be able to offer an informal conversation to all shortlisted artists before the interview so that we can discuss the nature of the opportunity in a little bit more detail and provide some additional context around that community relationship. We'll offer a contribution to the cost of the artist's time of £500 to all shortlisted artists. We're expecting to shortlist up to 6 artists. And because the interviews will take place in person in Plymouth, we will cover the cost associated with attending the interview. The interview structure is likely to involve a presentation to our panel and a question session in a relatively conventional way, followed by a further discussion that we'll ask the artist to facilitate with a group that will include representatives from our community partners. Just a little recap on the timeline. So the deadline for submissions, the 1st of September. And as you can see there, this is also reproduced in the brief. We have a sort of timeline that steps through the process of shortlisting, interviews, and then confirmation of the selected artist, hopefully at the beginning of October.